Klein, Richard Allen. Are these men connected? You'll have to tune in to find out. Right now on True Crime Investigates with Anthony Greeno. Started 7 years ago on February 13th, 2017, when two teen girls, 13-year-old Abigail Williams and 14-year-old Liberty German, were murdered near the historic Monon Eye Bridge in Carroll County, Indiana, in the town of Delphi. The case remains unresolved, and there are notable persons of interest, and a suspect has been arrested. But tonight, we want to find out, are these two men connected? Richard Allen has been moved from Westville to Wabash, and Keegan Klein has been moved from Wabash to Michigan City. Is there a reason for this? Is there more to the story than meets the eye? Coming up tonight on True Crime Investigates, we take you back into the Delphi murders. But this time, we're talking about the last man to talk to Liberty German before she died.
This profile was being used from 2016 to 2017 on social media applications, including but not limited to Snapchat and Instagram.
This is Anthony Shots, a social media profile of a teenage boy who's clean, cut, and portrays himself as wealthy and owning sports cars. Anthony Shots is always a talk amongst the other teenage girls. He's handsome, charismatic, and he always has the perfect thing to say. This young man is a real-life Casanova, but there's just one problem. That's not Anthony Shots. Those images are actually photos of a known male model that were stolen and used to create this profile. So just who is the man in that picture? Well, he isn't a teenage boy at all. This is 27-year-old Vincent Kowalski, and Indiana State Police say his personal pictures were used to lure young girls. But here's the thing. He's a cop in Alaska, victimized in a catfish scheme and suddenly thrust into the Delphi murders investigation. His face front and center of a YouTube press release by Indiana State Police. Kowalski wasn't contacted by ISP beforehand. He learned about the connection just like everyone else from YouTube. While working his night shift beat in Alaska, someone sent him a screenshot from Indiana. His face and those old photos were front and center as the newest person of interest.
Just seeing your face blasted all over the news was crazy. Soliciting videos from young girls, like that's disgusting, and it makes me sick. But to know that two young girls possibly lost their life because of my picture, it's the worst of the worst. How you just keeps you up at night as a parent knowing that people are out there like that.
But cops insisted that the man depicted in the photographs is not a person of interest in the case. After police uncovered that the person using the social media profile as Anthony Shots was in communication with Libby German the night before she went missing, Anthony Shots had apparently agreed to meet up with the girls at the bridge on the day of the murders. And stunningly, the next day, he also sent Snapchat messages to a friend of Libby German's. When one of Libby's friends reached out to the Anthony Shots profile and asked if he had heard what happened to her, he responded with, "Yeah, I was supposed to meet them there, but they never showed up." True Crime Investigates was instrumental in linking Keegan Klein to the Anthony Shots profile and linking it to Liberty German through her Instagram account. This man clicked like on one of her photos 50 days before the murders. This was a moment where everyone thought the case was going to be solved, but then questions started to linger. Is that guy really the bridge guy? And then the speculation went wild, finger pointing at his father, Tony, by members of the public. But we all jumped the gun too quick. You see, they asked for information on the creator and the user of the Anthony Shots profile. On December 7th, 2021, I called the Miami County Jail and confirmed that Kegan Kline had been in custody since August of 2020 for over 30 counts of child pornography, child solicitation, and other crimes against children. After police raided his home in connection with the Delphi murders investigation on February 25th, 2017, after reviewing Libby German's social media messages. In that 2017 interview, Kline admitted multiple times to an FBI agent and the Indiana State Police he is in fact the man who created the account, and that there were several devices that contained explicit, illegal images and videos scattered throughout the home. Kline also took a polygraph test, in which cops say he failed when questioned about the Delphi murders and whether or not he knows the killer.
State Police also acknowledged today that a secondary investigation from information received during the Delphi investigation led them to Kline. You may remember they first learned about him in 2017, but police didn't arrest Kline on child porn charges until 2020.
So Indiana State Police acknowledged that time gap today, but didn't go into explaining why it happened any further. They did say this in a quote: "We do not believe that any person has done anything intentionally wrong, but we will continue to critically evaluate our efforts."
But Kegan Kline wasn't arrested or charged until 3 years later. Law enforcement says cell phone tracing puts Kegan Kline back at his grandparents' house in Peru, about 30 miles from Delphi at the time of the murders, and he has never been officially charged with anything connected to Delphi. But prior to his extremely harsh sentence, and rightfully deserved, Kline was in negotiations with the prosecutor. In an attempt to reach a better plea deal, Indiana State Police took Kegan Kline out of jail with a court order, a sealed order, to the Wabash River near his home, where investigators searched for 40 days. They've never confirmed if they've found anything or why they were even there, and it's hard to get a read on the situation. There's only a couple things that could have happened. Kline took them to the river to show them where either the murder weapon was, or a burner phone, or something connected to the crime was, or he fabricated the information and that whole search in the river was a waste of time. But just a few weeks later, cops were searching the home of Richard Allen. Is that just a coincidence that they also dismissed 5 of his felony charges after Richard Allen got arrested? What's even more strange is if we go back to that December 2021 press release on YouTube. Cops weren't asking for information about Kegan Kline. They already knew who he was, and they already knew what the Anthony Shots profile was all about. And then they asked for information about the Yubo app.
Today, Indiana State Police announced that they are looking to expand the list of apps used by Anthony Shots, including one known as Yubo, a social media video live streaming app.
Yubo, formerly known as Yellow, it's a social media app that focuses on live streaming, and it's actually based in France. So it's perhaps not super well known to, throughout the United States, like say a Snapchat or an Instagram, but it's pretty popular overseas.
It's a video streaming site that has a reputation for not being all that scrupulous about age restrictions. So in other words, it's very easy for people who are underage to join the site and start streaming and meeting people. And just as parents may find it difficult to keep up with this flurry of different social media apps and such, predators find it very easy to keep up with what's new. And when they find a site with loopholes like that, they exploit it, and sites like that can become playgrounds for predators.
And from our conversations with Kelly Brown, Kegan Kline is very familiar with that site too. He says it's a place where snuff films are made and that people pay big money for dead kid pics. And with all the secrecy and allegations that there may be another individual involved, then that could possibly mean that this crime is something far worse than we could ever imagine. The FBI in its detailed report, stated that they believe that the killer may have photographed or videotaped the crime scene and that he took a sock and a pair of underwear as a souvenir. I would only assume if Kegan Kline had tipped in the Delphi murder suspect, he would have done so to get a better plea. But in a fairly common move by the prosecutor, she pulled a plea agreement negotiation of 25 years, and Kline was faced with the opportunity to plead guilty to 25 counts of graphic crimes against children. But the stipulation was simple. Let the judge decide the sentence in an open plea, and in the mind of a defendant facing some serious time.
Carroll County prosecutor today insisted he has a solid case against Richard Allen. That's after yesterday's public hearing in the case.
And prosecutors confirm they believe there's another suspect out there, while Allen's defense team say they don't believe there's enough evidence to even convict.
When prosecutor Nicholas McClellan said in court on Tuesday that he believes Allen did not act alone, a former FBI agent who worked on the investigation told me he wasn't surprised.
So during the investigation when I was there, we were still open to any, whether it be one person or multiple.
If that's the case, Paul Keenan says he does believe the probable cause affidavit should remain sealed.
If they unseal it, the suspect will no doubt read it. That person can destroy evidence, they can leave the state, they can try and disappear.
But Allen was arrested and charged in connection with the killings of Abby and Libby nearly a month ago. So I asked Keenan why they have yet to arrest anyone else involved.
One reason I can imagine is the person is already a fugitive and they're looking for this person, and they may not want to release that person's name. That they're trying to find him or her.
But the news of a second suspect came as a surprise to Richard Allen's defense team yesterday.
If you read the probable cause affidavit, it does not mention anything about any other person that was news to us.
They slammed the case the prosecutors brought forward, saying police got the wrong guy. Still, Keenan was quick to point out that they may not have the full picture yet.
Not all the evidence in the case put into that affidavit. Judge to sign off.
Keenan believes it's likely defense lawyers are just doing their job.
I don't think the state police would have brought this case without solid evidence, and the judge wouldn't have signed off on the probable cause affidavit without solid evidence.
When reviewing a plea agreement, signing 25 to 30 years of your life away is something that is extremely hard to do. But in an open plea, the defendant feels like they have an opportunity to persuade the judge that maybe they're not a bad guy. Maybe they just made a mistake. And everyone is always asking for that second chance. And Kline pleaded guilty, and the judge cracked his ass with 43 years in prison. And he was pissed off after that. But I had to ask the question. I wanted to know, would he answer? Did he do it? And does he know Richard Allen?
Mr. Kline, are you affiliated with the Delphi murder? Did you kill Abby and Libby?
Did you look for Richard Allen?
He didn't answer me directly right then and there due to all the people and media in his face. However, he did answer my question on the Murder Sheet podcast the following night. Kline said that he does not know Richard Allen, and there's too big of an age gap for them to have met. And we all wonder, was the other person using the Anthony Shots profile Richard Allen? Or is he still out there? Is he in Carroll County? Maybe Miami? Or maybe he's in another country? But tonight, we're digging into court documents in Miami County because on July 31st, 2023, Kegan Kline was sentenced to 43 years in the Indiana Department of Corrections with 3 years suspended to probation for multiple felonies involving child exploitation and related offenses. In December 2023, Kline's attorneys appealed his sentence, saying it was manifestly unreasonable based on the nature of the offenses and his character. The legal team said their client has no previous criminal history. Kline used several catfished social media accounts, including Emily Ann 45 and Anthony Shots. In Carroll County prosecutor Nick McClellan's motion at limine, he asked that Kline's name not be allowed to be spoken by Richard Allen's defense team during Allen's trial. Allen has been charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of felony murder in the deaths of Abby and Libby. Cops presume he's the bridge guy, but they did say that there could possibly be someone else involved. But back to Kline. In Miami County, Judge Judge Timothy Spar found the following aggravating circumstances when sentencing Klein. The harm, injury, loss, or damage suffered by the victims of the defendant was significant and greater than the elements necessary to prove the commission of the offenses. The defendant has a history of criminal and delinquent behavior. The victims of some of the offenses were less than 12 years of age. The defendant was in a position having control of some of his victims, and the defendant's sexual behavior and attitudes and selfish, manipulative character support the imposition of additional sentencing consequences upon him. One mitigating circumstance was found. The defendant entered a plea of guilty, saving the state time and expenses of a trial and sparing the victims from having to testify, though that is tempered to some extent by the fact that there was substantial evidence of the defendant's guilt, court documents state. The trial court found that Klein had committed a total of 13 episodes of criminal conduct. According to court documents, Klein solicited sexually explicit videos from young girls when he knew their ages. He manipulated the girls and stalked them. He sought very young girls of specific age ranges. He also serviced himself while watching the videos that he had obtained. An investigation uncovered thousands and thousands of messages between Klein and young girls. In his appeal, Klein asserts that many of his charges should be combined as one act of criminal conduct because they happened on the same day and are closely related in time, place, and circumstance. Klein is incorrect. If that is true, for counts 10 through 20, the amended information alleged that Klein possessed the images on February 25th, 2017, but that was merely the date that the images were seized, court documents state. As the state points out, the evidence shows that the offenses underlying counts 10 through 20 constitute 5 episodes of criminal conduct because the images underlying those counts were created on media managed by Klein on 5 separate dates. Specifically, the state presented evidence that the explicit imaging supporting count 14 was created on September 14th, 2015. The same for count 15 was created on March 17th, 2016. Counts 11 and 12 were created on May 4th, 2016, and the same for counts 10, 16, and 17 were created on May 14th, 2016. The Indiana Court of Appeals said that they focused their analysis on the timing of the offenses and the simultaneous and contemporaneous nature of the crimes, if any. Klein does not dispute that the images supporting these charges were created on 5 separate dates. His sole argument on appeal is that his possession of those images on the same date means that his offenses constitute an episode of criminal conduct under the statute, but the evidence shows that the offenses were neither simultaneous nor contemporaneous. In concluding their decision and affirming Klein's current sentence, the appeals court judges state the trial court did not err when finding that counts 10 through 20 were comprised of 5 episodes of criminal conduct under Indiana Code, Section 3550-1-2. Klein will remain in the Indiana Department of Corrections and is currently housed at the Newcastle Correctional Annex until August 19, 2048. And with that being said, finally, a chapter closes in the Delphi murders investigation, but another one remains open. And we all have wonder, is there still another book to be written? And if this is some hostile dark web pay big money for hits type of thing, then the question remains, is the mastermind still at large? What if he's watching, lurking from the shadows, possibly right here within the chat? And what if he knows you? But most importantly, who's next? What's going on, YouTube? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, or wherever the hell you're watching from. I'm Anthony Greeno, and welcome to True Crime Investigates. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be talking about online predators, sex and crime, kids, and the internet. And we know this story all too well because it stems from the Delphi murders investigation. It stems from Kegan Kline. It also stems from Snapchat murders. I think it was labeled by Stephanie Harlow. The Snapchat murders was one of the first things that came up when you Googled the Delphi murders shortly after it happened. And today I was looking through some things, and it is hot in here today, everybody. I need to turn that fan on, but if I turn the fan on, it may screw the sound up. But I was looking at some things today, and I was going through things, and I've been going through this over and over in my head for quite some time. All the information that I gave you guys right there was, hey, thank you very much for the what is that called? Super chat. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that. So thank you. I can't type very well on my phone, so there you go. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. This is a serious topic, and it's the reason I'm talking about it is because it's so serious. 2 girls got killed over this, and it's so serious that it goes way deeper than what we could ever imagine. Now, I know that people say, how could Anthony Schatz be involved? How could Kegan Kline be involved in this? I hear Mark Robert talk about that all the time, right? And he just doesn't see it. And I guess people can kind of see where there may be an option for that. But then people also see that there's not an option for that too, right? Because of what we've seen happen in court. Now, if you want to go ahead and hit the button and join in to talk, you can. You're welcome to do so. Especially for the people that I asked if they wanted to come on here. You guys are welcome to do so. But when I thought about everything as a whole, okay, I thought about when they arrested Richard Allen, there wasn't some big happy thing, man. I mean, if we go back and we watch that, they're like, oh, today's not the day to celebrate. And, you know, we're just now starting. You're just now starting, but you've taken 5.5 years to arrest that guy. And now you're saying it's not a day to celebrate, but we're starting now. We're just beginning our investigation, which I had heard time and time again as, well, as soon as we're done with this, we're going to start all over. Well, if they would have just listened to me and Michael Catt in the first place, they would have had it solved within the first week. If they would have just listened to us, we had the case solved within a week. We already said exactly what needed to happen. You just need to go back and look at everybody that was at the trail that day and start deciphering whose story didn't match up. That is exactly what we said to do. And guess what? They did not do it. Right? Like, they didn't do it. They didn't offer anything to us. So, yeah, and I think that's why he got 40 years. Kegan Kline's involvement was catfishing. I think that's why he got 40 years. No, the reason he got 40 years was because of the disturbing nature that was actually the stuff he was looking at was horrible. Horrible. I sat in court. I sat in his court and watched him plead guilty to it. And I watched the judge sit up there and listen to him talk about it and say, yeah, how old she was or how old this kid was and all this stuff, right? And then I also seen the judge stop everything and take a recess and go into the back room in his chambers and then look at some of the stuff. And when he came out, he was like, dude, this is disgusting. Like what I just looked at on here, a baby and an adult, and you are to that? Are you kidding me? What? That makes no sense. And so it's like, that's disgusting. And for someone to be able to get off on that kind of stuff is fucked up in the head. Bad. Really bad. So I started thinking about this. When he was first arrested, or when he was not first arrested because nobody knew, when Kegan Kline was brought to attention on December 6th, 2021, I was sitting there looking at it. Okay, his picture, and Matt Sullivan came, the captain came, Randy, Hoosier Cold Cases, all these people came, okay, to Lafayette to an Airbnb, and we stayed there, and we stayed there all week, and we talked about the case, and we did live streams, and we tried to figure out, we thought this case was ending. Then we were for sure that this was over with, that they'd found a guy catfishing the girls. It was him. I found the link that he had clicked like on her Instagram photo 50 days before the murders. Law enforcement would never confirm. They're like, well, law enforcement hasn't confirmed. I'm like, well, they don't have to confirm because you can see it right on the thing. So nobody needs to confirm anything. When you can see it on the post, it's obvious. Anthony Schatz clicked like on one of Liberty German's Instagram posts. And so That guy had been in communication. That's where we first learned that. Now, this was all new to us. It was all new to us as creators. This is the weird part. They came out and asked for information on a user of Anthony Schott's profile. And they said that the guy in the pictures, the cop, Vincent Kowalski, he's not a person of interest. His photos were taken and catfished, used as a catfish account. But the creator of the account is this fat fuck, Keegan Kline. Okay? Now, he is a bad dude. Okay? He was caught with several devices with child porn. He lured the girls to the bridge that day. He did multiple things to multiple people, and he is just a liar all around. He even blamed his dad. But in the transcripts, it says that it seemed like there was two people using the Anthony Schott's profile because of the way the typing was. You can tell the different type of text messaging. For example, some people put periods, some people don't. Some people type in all caps, some people don't. Some people put abbreviations for words, some don't. You can tell when other people are typing on devices, especially the FBI and the cyber crimes and the forensic unit. They know. And they said it seems like two people were using that account. And he said the only other person that could use my account would be my father, Tony Kline. And then he says Tony doesn't know how to use the internet. And then Tony says it wasn't him, that it could have been someone else. Okay. And there is information that I've learned as of yesterday. Yesterday, I had a really interesting phone call with an individual who you all might really want to hear from. A man who's been thrust into the Delphi murder spotlight. A man who's been accused of being bridge guy, a man who's been accused of being a user of the Anthony Schott's profile, and a man who some think is still potentially involved in this case. And he may be. And he's watching. And I know he's watching because he just messaged me. That man is going to go unnamed for right now. But we are in talks, and there just might be a conversation that you guys could hear in the future with that individual. I will tell you that this individual is not wanting to go on camera. He would rather do voice, but I'm trying to get this person on camera to show the legitimacy of who this person is. I do have something to show the legitimacy, but I'm not going to really show it yet. But did I talk to Ron Logan? Of course, I've talked to Ron Logan a long time ago. But no. This individual has information that might be key and critical to this case, because think about this. They already knew what the Anthony Schott's profile had been doing, and they already knew Keegan Kline made it. They changed the entire tip line phone number to a number that ended in 3535 versus 5798 or 5378 or something like that, whatever it was, the tip line. It all changed that day to that one tip line number. And we began looking into the Peru area, which I might say throughout all my years doing this, I said the killer would be east of town, maybe towards Logansport, Peru, Miami, Camden, all that area. Guess what? Keegan Kline is from Peru. Richard Allen is from Mexico, which is Peru, basically. It's the same thing. Logansport, Peru, it's all the same. Now, those guys coming from over there, coming to Delphi, there's a reason for it. There's a reason that those guys chose Delphi. Was it just the girls? Possibly. Keegan Kline remembers the, what is it called? The Peeping Tom incident in Young America. Not far either. Young America, just outside of Delphi, just outside of Flora, in between Deer Creek, Rockfield, or not Rockfield, Burlington. So you've got these guys that show up at a house apparently Peeping Tom's going to kidnap somebody. Maybe, I don't know. Then they disappear. That was reported. People think it's Tony Klein. People think it's Kagan. People think it's a group of them both and others. You never know. But this is what it is. They're asking for information on that because they think that the person who used that account met the girls that day or lured them there that day. Okay. Now, if Richard Allen didn't have anything, if he had a phone, his phone, and he didn't have anything on it that indicated he sent text messages all day, then that means someone else was in communication with Libby and Abby before or from another device. Okay. And it wasn't Richard Allen's cell phone. How did Richard Allen know they were going to be there that day? Because he went there pretty quick. If he wanted to go there just to kill somebody, he could have killed the four girls at the beginning. He could have also killed Betsy Blair. He could have also just killed anybody, right? But he didn't. He picked two of them, okay? And he waited for them to get all the way to the other side of the bridge so he could have a plan to get them down the hill, across the water, and onto the other side, where he knew this is where his plan would unfold. Some people think there's more than one person. Some people think there's the hill and the driveway. Although the driveway, they wouldn't have been able to get down. No one would have been able to drive down there. They would have been stuck. The guy at the front will shoot you if you try to cross that against his wishes. And that's not a lie. If you try to cross that and that dude don't want you there, he will shoot. He will fire one warning shot and let you know that he will kill you next time. And believe me, I know that dude is serious when you go there and you try to get in that gate, because I was asked to go get in the gate by the owner, Kay Weber, to go meet her. And this dude wasn't having it. He wasn't having it at all. He was mad that I was even talked back to him. And I'm like, bitch, don't talk back to me. You know what I mean? Like, but this dude was like, look, dude, I'm going to shoot you if you go through that gate. And I'm like, well, you're just going to shoot me then, because I'm going through the gate because she's back there waiting on me. And he was like, well, don't make me. I'm like, well, you're going to have to do it then. I don't really give a fuck, dude. Do it, you know? And then he's like, I'm going to call the law. I'm like, well, you're going to shoot me or call the law? Which one? Because if you're calling, I got time to run. Okay? Anyway, that's what it was. And it's not the garage. Nope. And the Webbers are not involved. Here's the thing, everybody. There's a photograph. Wonder if I can pull it up. Let me see if I can pull it up. I got a photograph. Okay, and I want you guys to think about something here. And now I have in my possession right now, in here, in this room, right over there, leaked information, okay, that tells a lot of shit. A lot. A whole lot. A whole lot about the Odinist, a whole lot about the catfishing, a whole lot about phone data, transcripts, and statements. It shows these things, and I've got it right there. And eventually, sooner than later, I'm going to show you. But I want to fix a couple things first with a couple things I don't know, right? And I need help from a couple other individuals in order to know this stuff, because there's a couple pieces missing. But when you look at this stuff and you say, holy shit, dude, it is an internet crime. It's 100% an internet crime. This isn't something where people think another bad actor said by Nick McClelland indicates there's a bunch of people at the physical location. At the location. There's a whole bunch of people at the location, and that's just not accurate at all in any form. There's not a whole slew of people anywhere around that crime scene, and I'm going to show you guys why. And the reason I tell you that there's not is because when you look at the whole area in question, you can look at that and say, well, where would they be at if there was if there was other people there? Where would they be at during all this? Okay, like where would they be? And so right now I'm going to pull up a map of the area, with the reenactment, and we're going to take a look at it, and we're going to see exactly where they would have been. But first, we're going to take a look at what the trail system actually looks like from start to finish, what everything looks like right there, and then we're going to go right into the map and why no one else can be there that day. So look at this right here and learn what the High Bridge Trail looks like, and then I'm going to show you the map. So give me 2 minutes, and there you go.
Did you ever have this help us to capture the person?
You brutally murdered two little, only a coward.
Delphi, Indiana, a warm winter day, and the crime that changed everything.
And they meet a monster.
13-year-old Abigail Williams and Liberty German were reported missing.
He smiled all the time.
Libby made people feel good.
I'm going to find who did this.
Our community is going through a lot of this with us.
And we pray that today is the day.
Let's find this guy.
The Monon High Bridge Trail is approximately 2 miles in length. It begins here, at the main parking area, which is located off of County Road 300 and sits next to the Hoosier Heartland Highway, which was completed around October 2013. The trail is an old rail line. The city of Delphi was fortunate to obtain the Freedom Bridge, which was originally built in 1897, dismantled, and then reconstructed in 2002. Originally meant for Connor Prairie, the bridge found its location in Delphi, Indiana. Now it forms the new connecting link for the historic Monon Trail. The development of the Hoosier Heartland Highway had cut the trail, hence the 302-foot bridge found its new resting place spanning the highway. Also, it brings a bit of history into the surrounding agricultural historic district. The trail has 4 points of entry. Old Camden Road leads directly from the Delphi city limits. A rural county country road, known as County Road 300, has 3 entry points: A, B, and C. The trail is part of the Mary and Charles Gerard Nature Preserve. Benches dedicated to loved ones overlook Old Deer Creek. In the middle section of the trail, at the Site C entrance, across the road, sits the Mears property, who participate in the German Baptist religion. This property becomes significant later on in this story. Now, back to the center point of the trail system. The paths divide into 2 separate parallel walking lanes. One is called the 501 Trail, indicating it is 501 steps to the High Bridge. The second is the 505. Similar to the other, only that this one leads down to the water and ends just around the bend from the bridge itself. The 501 leads to the historic Monon High Bridge, which stands 70 feet high and 853 feet long, marking it the state's second highest and third longest. The bridge was built in 1891. The condition of the bridge is poor, with deteriorating wood and missing ties. However, the secludedness of the bridge and curiosity of onlookers sparks interest for many to cross it. The trail ends on the southeast side of the bridge, then becomes private property, divided up into 2 owners, one north and one south of the old rail line. This property is known as the Weber-Sanders property. They own the private driveway that leads under the bridge from County Road 625, which is the road Anna Williams and her daughter Abby, one of the murder victims, resided when the crime occurred. Anna and her parents remain there today. This property was previously occupied by a woman who wishes to remain anonymous. If we head north to this location, this is the home of Mike and Becky Patty. Also residing at the residence was Becky's son Derek and his daughters, Libby German, one of the murder victims, and her older sister Kelsey. Abby and Libby were best friends, and since school was canceled on the next day, Abby spent the night at Libby's house. All right, so it's going to go into this next segment here. Now, this is going to be the reenactment part of it, and this part here is why I'm going to show you this. I'm going to skip through it, but this is why I'm going to show you why there was nobody else there that day. And so for the people that say there's other bad actors, right? There are other bad actors, but they're not in the form that you think, and they're in a position to where you guys are going to either you're going to really start to be worried about what you're doing here today and in the future, or you're going to start taking action and being more vigilant and aware of what's going on here, because I know it's like
glitchy. I see it. It's glitchy. It's like just the way the stream looks, everybody. So I can't answer you guys' things. Anyway, so this is the reenactment of Richard Allen's probable cause affidavit. Now, if we look at this, this is based on his probable cause. So when they put the unknown male or unknown subject, I just substituted it with Richard Allen because he is the presumed bridge guy. He is the bridge guy. Now, in this reenactment, this is also what I did in real person format by taking real people and putting them in motion on the trail, on the bridge, to show you guys this is what it looked like for this reenactment to be played out in person, right, by actors and actresses. So when we look at this thing, we get on the trail and we say, look, there's the girls on the trail, the 3 girls. Richard Allen's there, okay, with his car. You see his car right up there. That's the Hoosier Harvest store, the long building right there. So I'm going to back it up just a hair and go from here.
1:26 p.m. At that same time, Richard Allen is driving past them on the road that runs parallel to the trail. Allen's 2016 dark-colored Ford Focus is seen on video surveillance driving west past the Hoosier Harvest store at 1:27 p.m. He continues to what he described as the old Farm Bureau building and parked. Since there is no farm...
1:27 p.m., his car was caught on security camera. His car, okay? Why not tell us if there's danger in the community? Because there is danger, but it's not. They don't want people to freak out, okay? And here's the problem with it is they aren't telling you because they don't know who it is. And I see where they're screwing up here, and I know how we can help them. I do. I know how we can help them. Like, look, I have figured this case out from start to finish by just looking at everything over and over and over again for 8 years almost, every day, nonstop. I've not stopped. Every day. Richard Allen was seen on camera at the Hoosier Harvest store heading in this direction that he's heading now. Now, if you look at that building right there where he's getting ready to park, I'm going to play it. Okay, let's take a look at this. He's parking there, okay? Now, over here at the Andersons, that building across the road right there on the right, that white building that kind of goes with that old set of railroad tracks, they also have cameras, okay? So they have cameras there. So that would eliminate the possibility that someone came in the other way because they would have been seen on camera, right? So they didn't come from this direction, and there's only one way you can come from this direction, and that's up this road and around the corner, okay? And that leads you past where he's at, okay? So if you look at that, look at the road above it, you go up, around, and then you come back down to where Richard Allen's standing right there. And then you come down on the trail. So no one came from that direction. We know that. Also, no one else's vehicle was seen on the Hoosier Harvest store except Betsy Blair's and Kelsey German's and Sarah Carball's. Okay, those 3 people were seen. Derek was seen as well. Later, not at the time he stopped. But these girls saw Richard Allen. If we skip ahead a little bit, Betsy Blair drives by. Okay. She sees, and you know what I absolutely hate on this is when people say, just because they said they saw Bridge Guy, the 3 girls, just because they saw Bridge Guy doesn't mean they saw Richard Allen. And I'm like, okay, well, how come Richard Allen said at the exact same moment that he saw the same girls? So how come he didn't see the Bridge Guy? To those people out there that just want to be like naysayers about everything, right? And they are that. And we're going to get into those kinds of people in just a moment because, ladies and gentlemen, the killers, the predators, the Anthony Shots type of people are here, lurking right now in this chat, in your chats, and everybody else's chats. They're watching you, they're watching me, and they've been doing this the entire time. You ever wondered this? what these people were thinking about, talking about, looking at, while like Richard Allen, what was he looking up? You want me to tell you something he was looking up? You guys are going to shit when you see this. What was Richard Allen looking up? Where's Kelly at? I thought Kelly was going to call in. Where's Richard Allen? What was he looking up, everybody? What do you think Richard Allen was looking up? Anybody? Anybody got a guess? There she is. What do you think Richard Allen was looking up, everybody? Because I'll tell you what I know he was looking up. Richard Allen's Google search, because we looked at Kagan Klein's Google search, right? CSAM, someone says. Kagan Klein was looking up CSAM. He was looking up child stuff and also was looking up the Delphi murders at the same time. Richard Allen was looking me up. Isn't that weird? And other people, not just me. Don't want to make it sound like it's all me. Richard Allen Googled my name and the Delphi murders case. Richard Allen Googled my channel, looked at my channel. Richard Allen called in to a live stream one time, and I'm not going to say who's, when, or where, but you will find this out. Richard Allen was very much so a ball player in this whole investigation, and people say he had no social media presence. The guy wasn't on social media, but he was. He was on social media, and he's smart about it. You see, he wasn't on social media talking about who's the killer, because he saw how crazy people were, and if he was doing that, guess what? He would be pointed out real quick. Man, you kind of look like and I'm that guy that'll tell you that. You kind of look like the guy. Why did I say it? Did I say it to him? Did I not say it to him? I don't think so. Don't think I said it, but I think I just got to the point where I was just so over the 500 people that had been sent to me. I was like, yeah, that's not the guy. And the captain told me this. Okay. The captain told me this. He said, whenever you, how did he put that? I can't remember how he said that. He said that, how the hell did he put those words? I can't remember how he put it. But anyway, he gave some good advice about like looking for the guy, right? If you were the killer, what would you be doing? What would you want to know? And the captain said, you basically dismiss everybody too quick. Like you get on them and then you're like, not the guy, not the guy, not the guy. And I'm like, well, dude, part of that's because these people have committed crimes. And law enforcement said that the individual that they were looking for had never committed a crime before. And so anybody that came up that had a criminal record, I could immediately say, cleared, gone, peace, later, dude. We're looking for a guy that's committed no crime, that's never been arrested before. We're looking for a guy that's living a double life. We're looking for a guy who's on the internet, but not necessarily under the name of Anthony Greeno or Jessica Molden or Ben or Smallwood or DB. You know what I mean? He's not under a name like that, or he is. And if you notice in this case, we've seen the most hate I've ever seen. I'm going to pull you in 2 minutes, Kelly. I've seen the most hate I've ever seen out of any case I've ever seen in true crime. And I've not been a true crimer until I started this one. And this case has turned into crazy. I mean, people are destroying each other. People are like harassing people's children. People are getting protective orders put on them over sexual assault. Anytime people want to like fight on here about things, like if you argue with someone, right? Let's say me and Necessary Evil are arguing about something, right? And I'm just picking on Necessary Evil for a minute. Let's say that we're arguing about something and I'm like, okay, well, the court documents said that the Odinists were cleared. He's like, no, they're not cleared. It's like, okay, well, then I show the court document and I'm like, look, it says right here they're cleared, okay? Kind of like that Jesse Snyder thing. And then the first thing that they want to do, and that's not this person, but the first thing they want to do is immediately attack you personally. Not what you're saying, not come back with an educated hypothesis about what, why you could be wrong, or maybe they need to change their mind. Instead, they did this. They attack you Like, well, you're just a con man. What are they doing? Think about this, everybody. When people attack nowadays, they don't do anything. They attack you with child pornography. They attack you with sex. They come at you and they say, what does the prof do? Oh, Greeno was in gay porn. And makes like a gay porn, like a site with a dude that's kind of AI version of me. All right. Who thinks of that? When I get mad at somebody, let's say I get in a fight with some guy on the street, right? And we've all seen me get in a fight with people. Let's say I'm standing there, I'm getting ready to get in a fight with somebody, and all of a sudden, I'm just like, you know what? Hold on. You looked up child porn, and you got it on your computer. That dude's gonna be like, man, I knew I was gonna kick this dude's ass for some reason, right? Why would they do that? Why do they have to go to that level of everything? Let's attack people with porn. Let's attack them with that. Let's talk about sex all the time. When we're talking about 2 murdered kids. Yeah. Let's have people like the prof on our streams whose son is a child molester, who said that the prof did it to him. The prof's got a little kid there. I'd hate to say that that little kid is being sexually assaulted by the prof, but I could probably say he probably has been. He probably has been, for sure. And you got Noe, and you got Kagan Klein. You got that whole group, right? And all those people, man, are connected. All those people have done some fucked up shit. How would they know the person didn't have a criminal history? He doesn't have fingerprints in the database. That's how they would know. That's how we figured that out. You see, they told us that they didn't have any, the person had never committed a crime. Guess what? When Richard Allen got arrested, he'd never committed a crime, and neither did Kagan Klein. I'm going to pull in a friend of mine to talk with me on this. Ladies and gentlemen, Kelly freaking Brown. What's up, Kelly?
Hey, hi. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. What's up?
Great. I've been listening this whole time, and you just nailed it again tonight. Just everything that you're saying is everything I think about also.
Because I think it's true. I think it's true. I think this case goes deeper. People are looking for another guy to be at the crime scene. It's not possible because the way it looks, right? It's not. You've been there.
Right. Well,
right?
I thought of 2 things out of what you've said so far that really just need to be highlighted and underscored. And I mean, one of those is the extreme measures that people do. I have never in my life seen so many vindictive people that will go so far out of their way to cause problems. Absolutely. And how I think people don't want to either believe it or just need to be helped along with physically, like you said. Rick Allen's the only person physically there. This is a cyber crime, so it's the unseen. It's the it's the cyber world. So he's the one that's physically there that did this, but everything else is in a cyber world. And before they ever left the house that day, they were in contact with their killer. There's just I mean, I have so many things going on in my head. Like it's 2:30 in the afternoon on a crisp winter day.
On a Monday, yeah.
Yeah, and who is going to take that big of a chance and kill a couple kids? I mean, like I said on the CW, how rare is it that you leave your house and you're dead in a double homicide less than an hour later? So who's going to just take the chance to randomly kill a couple kids and not think, well, maybe their mom and dad are down the trail, or maybe their aunt and uncle are picking them up, or, it's that confrontation between Libby, Abby, and him, because they pass Betsy Blair, and the next person they see is Rick Allen. Then what? Yes.
Right there. Yeah, right there. That's exactly what you're looking at. That would be them walking past Betsy Blair. She's heading back to her car. He was on the first platform.
Right there they are. And that's where I'm stuck. Is like, okay, they're the worlds collide. Libby, Abby, and Rick. Then what?
Then what? Because this is where it gets really confusing to people, okay? Is this part right here. So they crossed this bridge. Richard Allen, when Betsy Blair left 2 minutes prior, he was standing on that first platform.
Right. And so, you know what I think too, just in my opinion, sometimes I think when, like, you go out there and you show how Libby's taking Abby's picture and there's never anybody behind her, right? There's never anybody behind her. What if Rick is behind Libby? He's already halfway out and they're walking together. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. Like, how far did they get out on that bridge before he wigs out? What's the first thing he really says to them? I don't think it's guys. What does he really say to them in person? It's that part right there. There goes Betsy Blair, and the next person you encounter is your killer.
Exactly. And when you look at that, there's only a couple things happen. Either one, he's right behind the camera, okay, like right there in both these pictures, or he stayed where he's at and watched Betsy Blair leave. And the moment she left and turned that corner up there, he rushed across that bridge, and that may have what set the girls off. Like, hey man, here comes that guy again. You know what I mean? Like, he's moving quicker. And then she's like, he's got a gun, and he pulls it out, and the guy's down the hill. So I think that he stood there and waited because he wanted them to get to the other side, because the bridge was the trap. It's dangerous, and you're not going to run back across it. And for the people to think they went across the bridge and then he brought them back across the bridge and then walked them around the creek there
that's too risky, because you don't know who's coming into the trail. You don't know who's going to be coming down there.
Or did he know? Did he know that Abby and Libby did not have parents with them?
Well, exactly. But like what you just said, if you're going to corral them, walk them back across, that's too many chances. Yeah.
It's too long. It's too long of a thing, because, I mean, what if you got to the middle of the bridge, right, and you got two girls on the bridge, and you got a gun on them, and they just lay down and say, "Fuck you." What are you going to do?
Right, because I
throw them off.
I thought of that too. Is you've got to you don't. Yeah, because I was going to say you don't know some kid's personality. So if you pull a gun on a kid, I think of course he had a sense of who these kids were before they ever arrived. I mean, there's just I could just go on and on. I did want to say something too about Kagan, and in the transcript, like you said, how they talk about Kagan, it's either you, all you, or you and your dad. Well, it was all him there at the Canal Street. That was, because he would talk to me. Remember, I told you when he would write me, he used the same emojis and the same sentences and verbiage. And it's a bit like, I always use this analogy. If you've ever seen the old classic movie Psycho, where at the end, he's Norman Bates and his mother. Kagan is Kagan and Anthony Schatz. And so the notion of who else was using that account, well, you've seen that clip that you played. Hundreds of people use that account. Who knows how many, because on the Anthony Schatz profile, it says new. Remember that? There on the Instagram, the notorious Instagram, where it says the new Anthony Schatz account. Well, that means there were others before that.
Yes.
So
the new one. And this is what gets me, Kelly, is we've been talking about this. I got that tip from Curtis Smithley in 2017, and he was like, "You got to go to the sheriff, and you got to get me on a computer with the sheriff." And I'm like, "All right, I'll try." Well, it worked. Tobe accepted, and we got on this. We sat down in Tobe's office with the computer, and we pulled up this stuff, and he did a very compelling analysis of the bridge guy, and he basically took the video or the photograph of the bridge guy and put it into like this thing that was able to clear up some of it. And right here on the hat, there is I'm not sure what it's called. It's like I'm looking for something that's about as big as it. Something about this big. Okay, this is my vape.
Right.
That clips on really small right here. Okay, almost like one of those hat lights, but it's a camera.
But I also want to add too, remember for years and years we saw something on his shoulder and we thought, is that a backpack post or what is that?